buying a franchise. Hello, and welcome to the Buying a Franchise session. Have you ever thought about owning your own business but weren't sure where to start? Well, buying a franchise could be the perfect way to step into business ownership with a proven model for success. Now, in this session, we'll break down everything you need to know, from understanding different franchise types to researching opportunities and making the right choice for you. Now, whether you're exploring your options or you're ready to take the next step, we'll guide you through the process so you can make an informed decision with confidence. Here's what you can expect from this session. Today's topics include a closer look at what a franchise is, including an overview of types of franchise businesses, franchise business models, and owning a business versus buying a franchise. Next, we'll discuss whether buying a franchise is right for you. We'll answer your questions like, what does it take and how much money do you need? Then we'll look at how to find franchises for sale, including how to research franchise opportunities. Now, we'll talk about some key steps to take when buying a franchise, including how long it will take, and we'll discuss what to avoid when buying a franchise. From there, we'll break down what happens after the franchise purchase, and we'll introduce some professionals that can help, like franchise consultants and franchise brokers. Finally, we'll wrap up the session with a list of top 10 do's and don'ts. All right, let's see if buying a franchise is the right path for you. What is a franchise? Well, a franchise is a business model. It's a way of operating a business where a company, the franchisor, allows individuals or other companies, franchisees, to operate their own businesses using the franchisor's brand, business systems, and support. In exchange, franchisees typically pay the franchisor an initial fee and ongoing royalties. Now, instead of starting a new business, an aspiring business owner chooses to join a regional or national organization by purchasing a franchise opportunity. The franchisor organizations have a proven business, systems in place, established best practices, and extensive experience. The franchise approach allows individuals to learn from the experiences of others and go into business for themselves, but not by themselves. It's often costly to learn from one's own mistakes when managing a business. The key is gaining wisdom from the successes and failures of others, whether from the franchisor or other franchisees, which reflects the principles of franchising. Types of franchise businesses. Now, often when people start exploring the idea of franchising, they think of well-known fast food franchises like McDonald's, Wendy's, or Subway. Then they're pleasantly surprised to learn franchising extends beyond fast food opportunities. There's a vast universe of options with nearly unlimited franchise opportunities across many industries, including, but also beyond, food businesses. So, aspiring business owners can find the right opportunities that fits their interest and their budget. Let's look at a sample list of popular franchise industries. Fast food or quick service restaurants, retail and convenience stores, health and fitness, home services and maintenance, education and tutoring services, beauty and personal care, cleaning and restoration services, child care and early education, automotive services, and pet services. Franchise business models. In addition to representing various industries, franchises also differ in their business model. Your role and responsibilities will vary depending on the franchise business model. For example, inbound retail businesses like fast food restaurants, dry cleaners, and beauty salons typically require a greater investment. They are location dependent, and sales are largely driven by advertising rather than direct sales. On the other end of the spectrum, service businesses like interior decorating, commercial building maintenance, and management consulting tend to require a lower initial investment. They are not location dependent and they rely on direct sales more than advertising. Now, there are also a variety of other business models in between. Let's take a look at Spectrum of Franchising chart from FranNet's Roadmap to Success, which provides an illustration of these franchise business models as well as others. Starting on the left side of the Spectrum of Franchising chart, we have inbound retail franchises. As mentioned previously, these tend to be high cost, have high visibility, no or low direct selling, and are dependent on a site. Examples of inbound retail franchises include fast food restaurants, hair salons, and dry cleaners. Next on the chart, we have outbound retail franchises. These usually have medium to high cost with some visibility and some direct selling. However, they are not as site dependent. Examples of outbound retail franchises include learning centers, sign businesses, business services, and fitness centers. Another franchise business model featured on the chart is called Bridge. These are low cost and low direct selling businesses. Now, some examples might include residential and business services, property management, and lab testing businesses. The final category of franchise business model included on the chart is outbound sales and services. These tend to be low cost and have low visibility. However, the requirement for direct selling is high. You can usually operate these franchises out of your home or an office. As mentioned earlier, some examples might include in-home decor services, commercial building maintenance, and management consulting. As FranNet points out, franchises exist in more than 90 industries. While people often think of restaurants, they're only part of what is available. In fact, FranNet sees franchising being applied successfully to more and more industries. Owning a business versus buying a franchise. Now, there is essentially no difference between owning a business and buying a franchise, since purchasing a franchise means owning one's own business. However, in this case, the franchisee utilizes the business plan, business model, branding, systems and processes provided by the franchisor, and operates that business in their local market. The franchisee implements established practices that have proven successful for the business. Much of the uncertainty is removed. Aspiring business owners who buy a franchise become part of a system with ongoing support. In contrast, when starting an independent business, an individual begins from scratch, developing a business plan, a business model, the product or service they will sell. They create all their own processes and systems and navigate all the trials and errors that go along with launching a new venture. Some aspiring entrepreneurs may also choose to buy an existing independent business versus buying a franchise business. This option falls somewhere between buying a franchise and starting a new business, removing some of the risk and learning curves of starting from scratch, but without the system and ongoing support of a franchise. Let's look at a chart that illustrates the key differences between these three options. This image also comes from FranNet's roadmap to success. First, with regard to availability of businesses, the opportunity is greatest when you start a business from scratch. In this case, your options are limited only by your imagination. You have more limited options when buying an existing business, but you have many options when you purchase a franchise. Next, we compare whether these options have a proven system in place. Starting a business from scratch means you aren't starting with a proven system for your business. There may be a system in place if you are buying an existing business, but that depends on the business you're purchasing, and you may not know whether it is proven or not. When purchasing a franchise, you have a proven system. Next, we evaluate the investment and the profit potential of each option. There is no correlation between the amount you invest and profit potential when you start a business or purchase a franchise. In other words, if you invest more, you are not guaranteed to make more profit. When you buy an existing business, the correlation between your investment and the profit potential is high. There are several reasons for this. An existing business has an established track record. It may also have a reliable revenue stream and customer base, and there may be less uncertainty. Now, these factors may contribute to a higher investment price. With a franchise, you're buying a proven system, yet the success of your specific business may be determined by location, management, etc. When starting a business from scratch, the profit potential is highly uncertain. Support is another important consideration. When starting a new business, there is no support provided other than the connections and networking you establish as an entrepreneur. You might have some limited support, if any, when purchasing an existing business. This will be based on contractual agreements you make. When purchasing a franchise, you'll have a high level of built-in and ongoing support. Now, with regard to risk factors, there are ultimately risks with any of the three categories. When you start a business from scratch, it's a first-time effort. which makes it inherently risky. When you buy an existing business, you need to be on the lookout for any hidden motives or incorrect information from the seller. And there is a high variability of quality among franchises. Funding is often an important consideration for aspiring entrepreneurs. Traditional bank loans may not be an option for many entrepreneurs because of the requirements. However, microloans and borrowing money from friends and family can provide funding even if traditional banks are not an option. Borrowers purchasing an existing business might be more attractive to lenders, depending on the specific situation. Borrowers purchasing a franchise are generally the most attractive to lenders of these three categories. To learn more about funding, visit MOBI's sessions on financing the business and microfinancing basics. Next, will you be able to predict your results with any of these options? When starting a new business, your projections will be based on your assumptions about the market, your product or service, and the effectiveness of your marketing activities. With an existing business, the projections will be based on historical results of the business. With a franchise, the projections are based on results of other franchisees in the system in other locations. And lastly, we compare the ability to make changes with new and existing businesses. Any changes you'd like to make are up to you as the owner. When purchasing a franchise, however, some aspects are likely limited by the franchise agreement, especially when it comes to changes that might conflict with the brand. Aspiring business owners interested in purchasing a franchise need to first consider whether buying a franchise is right for you. It's one thing to want to own a business. It's another to objectively evaluate whether it is the right decision. MOBI's session on choosing the right business can also be helpful in evaluating your business goals and discusses the key characteristics of an entrepreneurial mindset. Let's start by asking the question, what does it take? Now, there are three key factors that contribute to successful franchise business ownership. These include drive, business system, and fit. Drive refers to the determination that business owner possesses to pursue success. Whether it's the desire for greater flexibility, financial opportunity, independence, or to be your own boss, your determination is a key element contributing to a successful outcome. One reason is that while business ownership is often very rewarding, it presents many challenges as well. Without a high level of determination, it may be difficult to keep your motivation to overcome challenges and obstacles along the way. Another reason is that determination is not typically something that can be learned. If you enjoy the stability and predictability of working for someone else, your determination to own a business may be low, and buying a franchise may not be right for you. Business system refers to the complete package provided by the franchise opportunity. It's the business model, the location, the products or services themselves, the marketing, sales process, management, training, and ongoing support. The system the franchise provides is more important than the product or services on their own. Be sure to consider the entire package when evaluating the potential for success. Fit refers to the alignment between you and a particular franchise. You can think of fit as comprising two parts, your business goals and your business preferences, or in other words, your financial and lifestyle goals. Your business goals are your motivation for wanting to buy a franchise. What are you hoping to change or achieve in your personal, professional, or financial situation by buying a franchise? List out your business goals and rank them as must-have or nice-to-have. Your business preferences align with your desired lifestyle and role in the business. What transferable skills do you have that you'll bring to the business? How do you see your working style, your interest, and your personality operating in the business? What structure would work best? How many employees? What type of operation, etc. This session includes a franchise business preferences questionnaire that can be found on the MOBI resource documents page of the resources and tools section of its website to help you identify your business preferences. Consider not only your immediate financial and lifestyle goals, but your long-term goals as well. Think about the next year, the next 5 years, 10 years, or even 20 years or more. How much money do you need? It's important to remember that there is no automatic correlation between what it costs to buy a franchise and how much money you will make. The cost of the business has little to do with the profit potential. When you consider the cost to buy a franchise, keep in mind that costs can vary widely depending on the type of franchise, the brand, the location, and the level of support and services provided. Based on some internet research, here are general estimates of the costs involved in buying a franchise, along with some additional information. It's always a good idea to do your own research or consult an expert to gather accurate information for your specific situation. Now keep in mind that typically you will need 25 to 30% of the total investment in cash. Initial franchise fee. Well, this is a one-time fee paid to the franchisor to use their brand and business model. Fees typically range from $10,000 to $100,000 or more, depending on the brand and the industry. FranData estimated that 70% of franchise systems have a fee of $30,000 or less. Startup capital. This is the initial amount of money needed to cover the cost of purchasing the franchise, setting up the business, and covering initial operating expenses. According to FranData's 2022 findings, about 1/4 of franchise systems require startup capital of less than $100,000, while about 1/2 of franchise systems require an average startup capital of less than $250,000. You also will have ongoing fees when operating a franchise. Royalty fees. Typically, franchisees pay an ongoing royalty fee based on a percentage of their revenue, ranging from 4% to 8%. Marketing advertising fees. Most franchisors also charge an additional marketing or advertising fee, which is typically 1% to 4% of revenue. Other costs you need to consider include real estate costs. Many franchises, especially in industries like restaurants, retail, and fitness, will require a lease or purchase of the commercial real estate where the business will operate. Cost will depend on location and size. Working capital. You'll need extra funds for day-to-day expenses such as inventory, salaries, utilities, and operating costs until the business becomes profitable. This could range from $20,000 to $100,000. Be sure to understand the working capital needed to get you from starting to break even, the point when the amount of money you have earned or received from your investment equals the amount you initially invested. And prepare financial projections for best case, worst case, and most likely case. The total initial investment required to start a franchise, which includes the initial franchise fee, equipment, supplies, real estate, and other startup costs, can range from around $50,000 to $2 million for mid-sized to larger franchises. Home-based and micro businesses could also provide opportunities for a lower investment. Evaluate your available capital and identify sources of financing if you need to borrow money. Visit MOBI's Financing the Business and Microfinancing Basics session for more information on this topic. It's important for prospective franchisees to thoroughly research the specific franchise they are interested in and review the Franchise Disclosure Document, also known as the FDD, for detailed cost breakdowns and requirements. The FDD contains essential information about the franchise's history, fees, financial performance, and legal obligations. If the franchisor is unwilling to provide this document or offers vague details, it could indicate a problem or even a scam. Now that you've decided you want to buy a franchise, how do you find franchises for sale? There are several resources available for aspiring business owners who are interested in purchasing a franchise. Look at franchise websites and directories. A few include franchisedirect.com, franchiseglobal.com, franchisegator.com, thefranchisemall.com. Research franchise consultant and franchise broker services like FranNet, the Franchise Brokers Association, and Transworld Business Advisors. You can attend franchise trade shows and expos. Some popular ones include the International Franchise Expo, Franchise Expo West, and Franchise Expo South. Read franchise industry publications and blogs like Franchise Times, Entrepreneurs Franchise 500, and Franchise Business Review. Look at social media and online communities that focus on franchising. You can also visit franchisor websites directly. Lastly, research with small business development centers, or SBDCs, in your area and local chambers of commerce to see if there are any local franchise opportunities available. How to research a franchise opportunity? Well, it can feel overwhelming to research and evaluate a franchise opportunity, especially since it is a good idea to research several before making a decision. Two pieces of helpful advice to keep in mind are: 1. You are under no obligation during the investigation stage other than being polite and having an honest communication, as long as you don't sign any paperwork. And 2. Take it one step at a time. Now let's walk through 4 steps to help you through the research process. Step 1. Talk to the franchisor. Review any materials provided. Do your best to make a good impression and read the FDD. Remember, that's the franchise disclosure document. Step 2. Call and visit some other franchisees. Ask the franchisor for some recommendations of franchise owners who have a similar background to yours. Ask for recommendations of franchisees that are very successful, as well as some that may be struggling. Develop a list that represents a good variety. Call 8 to 10 franchisees and take careful notes. Visit at least 2 to 3 franchisees at their business. If possible, talk to a former franchisee. Step 3. Visit the franchisor. This is also known as a discovery day. This is where you'll meet face to face. During this visit, you'll evaluate your fit with corporate culture, considering the 3 C's: competency, chemistry, and character. Let's talk about each one. First, competency. When assessing a franchise, the key question regarding competency is whether the franchise is skilled in its operations and knowledgeable about its processes. Second, chemistry. Within a franchise system, it is essential for the individuals to enjoy working with their colleagues to some extent. You can get a sense of that chemistry. Third, character. Ultimately, when aligning with a franchise brand, it is crucial to ensure that there's a strong alignment in terms of moral values and character between the individual and the franchise. Lastly, your discovery day is your opportunity to ask any remaining questions. After your discovery day, you move on to step 4, consult with professional advisors. It's a good idea to hire a franchise attorney to review the agreement to make sure you understand all the provisions. Consider hiring a qualified accountant to assess the financial strength and opportunity of this franchise purchase. Also, talk with any potential lenders if you plan to borrow money. Consult with any other experts who would be appropriate and helpful. Now, we'll talk about how to buy a franchise and the key steps to take. Let's review a list of key steps you'll need to take when buying a franchise. Identify your financial and lifestyle goals for the short term and long term before looking at specific concepts. Be clear on your budget for going into business. Don't commit to more than you are comfortable with investing. Identify a franchise opportunity and talk with a franchisor. This session includes a sample list of questions to ask franchisors on the MOBI resource documents page of the resources and tools section of its website. You're going to use these questions in discussions with the franchisor or at a discovery day. Consider whether there is cultural alignment by examining 3 C's. As a reminder, those are competency, chemistry, and character. Conduct due diligence. Conducting due diligence requires a number of steps in and of itself. You'll want to obtain and review the financial statement or statements. Obtain profit and loss statements for the franchise location you select. This is if you're purchasing an existing location. Determine whether there are any franchise lawsuits pending against the franchisor. Examine the business of the franchise location you intend to purchase, unless you're opening a franchise in a new location. When you visit the intended franchise location, have a list of questions ready to gain insight into any issues that may exist for that particular franchise location and business. Now, here are some questions to consider. Is there an order backlog? What is the term of the lease? What improvements are needed? What is the amount of the receivables, money owed to the franchise? What is the amount of the payables, money the franchise owes? How strong is customer loyalty? Is the industry of this business stable or changing? What is the status of any licenses or permits required to operate the business? What is the reason the franchise is being sold? Is the seller motivated or anxious?
This last part of your due diligence step is to talk to several current franchisees in a variety of circumstances. These questions are more general than the ones you would ask a specific location you're buying. These questions would apply to any of the franchisees and would provide insight into the overall franchise system, the franchisee's impressions and experiences with the franchisor, and the information regarding the business. Scan the QR code on your screen to visit a sample list of questions to ask franchisees, which can also be found on the MOBI resource documents page of its website.
The next steps in buying a franchise are reviewing the franchise disclosure documents, FDD, including having a legal review by a franchise attorney, outlining the initial investment, all ongoing fees, as well as the complete investment required to get started. As part of this outline, be sure to understand the working capital needed to get you from starting to break even. Prepare best case, worst case, and most likely case financial projections. Moving on to the last steps in the buying process. Have a franchise attorney review the franchise agreement before you sign.
Make sure to consult a franchise attorney, as this is a specialized area of law. Choosing the right expert ensures you receive informed advice without covering the cost of their learning curve.
Attend a discovery day before you make the final decision to join the franchise. Look at 3 or more franchise concepts before making a final decision to buy the one you choose. And finally, secure your financing. How long will it take to buy a franchise? The process of buying a franchise can take anywhere between 8 weeks and 5 months on average, or potentially more, depending on the amount of time you want to spend researching opportunities, the franchisor process, document reviews, etc. What to avoid when buying a franchise? Don't let passion be your guide. It's important to keep a few considerations in mind when buying a franchise to help you avoid mistakes. First, sometimes aspiring business owners use their interest or passion for a product or service as the main decision criteria in deciding to purchase a franchise. Now, there are a few reasons why it can be problematic to purchase a franchise for a business because you have a personal interest and/or industry experience. First, most franchises are executive models. As a business owner, you're working on the business, not necessarily in the business. So, it's very important to make sure that you have the skill set necessary to run the business as an owner. You may want to purchase a bakery franchise because you love to bake. However, as a business owner, you'll be running the business rather than baking. Another potential issue in letting your passion or interest guide your franchise purchase decision is that you may think you know better than the franchisor regarding the way the business should be run, even though the franchisor has a proven system for this particular business. Using the bakery example again, you may have excellent recipes that are very popular among your family and friends, but as a franchisee, you'll use the franchisor's established recipe. Lastly, there is the danger of misplaced passion. Many people think if I have the passion for it, I can sell anything. The reality is that selling also requires a particular skill set, and successful sales are critical for any business. Selling can be a very discouraging yet absolutely critical part of business ownership. Before buying a franchise, it's important to understand the sales process and your role in that process as the business owner. Does your skill set align with the selling model and requirements for that franchise? Successful franchisees are typically people who purchased a business opportunity they were passionate about running, regardless of the industry and regardless of what the business produced or sold. When buying a franchise, follow steps presented in this session to help you avoid falling for a scam. Avoiding franchise scams is crucial for aspiring business owners, as fraudsters often target individuals eager to invest their savings into what appears to be a real business opportunity. To protect yourself, it's important to do thorough research and ensure that the franchise you're considering is reputable. One of the first steps is to review the FDD. As mentioned earlier, if the franchisor is unwilling to provide this document or offers vague details, it's a significant red flag. Another key step in avoiding scams is to research the franchisor's track record. Look for established brands with a history of success and positive feedback from current franchisees. If a franchisor promises quick or guaranteed returns with little effort or makes unusually high financial promises, it's likely too good to be true. Legitimate franchise opportunities generally emphasize hard work, proper training, and realistic expectations for growth. Aspiring business owners should also be cautious of franchise opportunities that require a large upfront payment with little explanation of what that fee covers. Transparency about fees and support is a hallmark of legitimate franchises. Finally, as included in the earlier section about how to buy a franchise, be sure to consider consulting a franchise attorney or financial advisor who specializes in franchising before committing. These professionals can help you review the FDD, evaluate the franchise's financials, and identify any legal or financial risks. Now, let's talk about after the franchise purchase. What to expect. Everything the franchisor provides is outlined in the FDD, so anything not outlined in the document should not be expected. To ensure you fully understand what to expect, make the most of your discussions with other franchisees. Ask them what they wish they had known before starting and what you can expect as a new franchisee. Is there anything that may not have been expressly stated in the FDD? Refer to the Questions to Ask Franchisees document we mentioned earlier in this session. After signing a franchise license agreement, you can generally expect the following from the franchisor: training and support. The franchisor should provide initial training for you and your staff. This often includes operational procedures, marketing strategies, and customer service practices. Operational guidelines. You can expect detailed manuals or guidelines outlining how to run the franchise, including standards for site selection, design, and daily operations. Marketing and advertising support. Franchisors typically offer advertising materials and can coordinate marketing campaigns to promote brand awareness. Ongoing support. This can include field support visits, regular communications, and updates on business strategies or new product launches. Supply chain assistance. Many franchisors help franchisees source products or manage vendors to ensure quality and consistency. Access to proprietary systems or technology. Franchisors often provide access to specialized software, inventory systems, or business management tools essential for operating under the brand. Performance benchmarks. Expect help in measuring your performance against established benchmarks and other franchise locations. Franchisee community. Opportunities to connect with other franchisees to share best practices, challenges, and successes. Continued training opportunities. Regular training sessions and workshops to keep you and your staff updated on industry trends and new development. Compliance assistance. Guidance on legal, regulatory, or operational standards compliance. Guidance for a successful operation. Here is some guidance for franchise owners to follow and considerations to keep in mind after purchasing a franchise to help ensure a successful operation. Utilize training and support. Fully utilize the training and support provided by the franchisor. This includes understanding the operational procedures, marketing strategies, and customer service expectations. Adhere to brand standards. Maintain the brand's standards and guidelines to ensure consistency across all franchise locations. This is vital for protecting the brand's reputation. Manage finances. Keep a close eye on finances, including budgeting, cash flow management, and understanding all fees associated with the franchise. It's important to be prepared for both expected and unexpected expenses. Visit MOBI's Financing the Business and Accounting and Cash Flow sessions to learn more about financial management for your small business. Implement the marketing strategies provided by the franchisor while also adapting them to local market needs. Engage with the local community to build brand recognition and loyalty. Prioritize operational efficiency. Regularly assess and improve operational processes to enhance efficiency and productivity. This includes managing inventory, staff scheduling, and customer service practices. Visit MOBI's business operations session to learn more. Comply with regulations. Stay informed about local regulations and compliance requirements that pertain to the business, including health and safety standards, employment laws, and zoning regulations. MOBI's session on license and permits can be helpful with this information. Manage staff effectively. Focus on hiring, training, and retaining skilled staff. Foster a positive work environment to enhance employee satisfaction and reduce turnover. Foster feedback and communication. Establish open lines of communication with both customers and the franchisor. Regularly seek feedback to identify areas for improvement. Visit MOBI's customer experience and feedback session to learn more. Network with other franchisees. Connect with other franchisees within the network to share experiences, strategies, and best practices. This can provide valuable insight and support. Adapt. Be prepared to adapt to changing market conditions and customer preferences. Flexibility can be key to sustaining growth and profitability. By being mindful of these aspects, franchise owners can enhance their chances of long-term success and satisfaction in their business. Another important consideration after the franchise purchase is hiring and retaining employees. Hiring and retaining labor presents significant challenges. In today's business landscape, entering any venture with a misconception that this aspect will be easy requires a shift in perspective. It is crucial for business owners to partner with a franchise organization that comprehends the current labor environment, including strategies from sourcing staff and team members, as well as effective retention practices that outpace the competition. The reality across nearly every marketplace in North America is that finding and keeping qualified staff is difficult. However, viewing this challenge as an opportunity to collaborate with an experienced franchisor can provide a sustainable competitive advantage, as these franchisors often have a deeper understanding of how to attract and retain talent more effectively than their competitors. Business owners must approach this endeavor with the awareness that building a successful team will be a vital component of their growth, continually prioritizing the recruitment and retention of the right people for their business. Throughout your journey of considering, researching, and ultimately purchasing a franchise, you may decide to seek additional help. So, let's talk about professionals that can help, specifically franchise consultants and franchise brokers. So, what are franchise consultants and franchise brokers? These interchangeable terms mean the same thing and both act as matchmakers for local entrepreneurs seeking a franchise opportunity. Some examples mentioned earlier include FranNet, the Franchise Brokers Association, and Trans World Business Advisors, among others. Franchise consultants and brokers research, analyze, and vet the top performing franchise organizations across all industries. They work with aspiring business owners to understand their goals, objectives, and budget, and then build a blueprint or a personal business model of what the ideal franchise business looks like. With that blueprint, the franchise consultants and franchise brokers look for matches with available franchise opportunities. Franchise consultants and brokers aim to find performing brands that match the goals and ideal business criteria for each individual investor or investor group and introduce them to the research process. Their objective is to narrow the list of opportunities to those that align with the goals and priorities of the business owner. They typically also provide the tools needed so the business owner can conduct effective, efficient research on those businesses. A good franchise consultant will also help educate the aspiring business owner about the universe of franchise opportunities and provide a process for due diligence and exploration. The top 10 do's and don'ts. The top 10 do's. 1. Do research thoroughly before purchasing a franchise, including reviewing the franchise disclosure document, the FDD. 2. Do consider your budget, financial goals, and available capital before investing in a franchise. 3. Do speak with current franchisees to learn about their experience with a franchisor. 4. Do consider the franchise culture and whether it aligns with your personal values and business goals. 5. Do conduct due diligence by reviewing financial statements, profit and loss reports, and any ongoing lawsuits involving the franchisor. 6. Do evaluate your transferable skills and ensure they match the requirements of the franchise business. 7. Do attend a discovery day to meet the management team and gain a deeper understanding of how the franchise operates. 8. Do have a franchise attorney review your agreement to ensure it is legally sound and that you understand the terms of the obligations. 9. Do consider all associated costs such as initial fees, ongoing royalties, marketing fees, and real estate expenses before committing to a franchise. 10. Do leverage the support and training provided by the franchisor to enhance your chances of success and follow brand standards. The top 10 don'ts. 1. Don't rely solely on your passion for the product or service as the main decision factor in purchasing a business or franchise. 2. Don't skip the FDD review. If the franchisor is unwilling to provide it, it's a warning sign. 3. Don't underestimate the importance of implementing the franchisor's established systems and processes. 4. Don't commit to a franchise without understanding the full investment required, including working capital and operating expenses. 5. Don't ignore potential risks. Be cautious of franchises that promise quick, guaranteed returns or require large upfront fees without clear justification. 6. Don't forget that it is essential to consult with a franchise attorney or financial advisor to protect your investment. 7. Don't expect instant success. Understand that building a successful franchise takes determination to overcome obstacles and challenges. 8. Don't assume the only franchise opportunities are with food businesses. 9. Don't overlook professionals who can help, such as franchise consultants and brokers. 10. Don't forget to think about what you will be doing on a daily basis as a franchise owner. Congratulations! You just completed this session on buying a franchise. I hope we've given you a better understanding of the franchising process and what to consider as you explore your options. For additional resources, including the Business Preferences Questionnaire and a list of questions to ask franchisees and franchisors, visit the MOBI Resource Documents page in the Resources and Tools section of the MOBI website. If you're taking this session as part of a course, don't forget to log in and take the quiz for this session. Feel free to pause now and review or download any of the resources from this session online or continue with the next session for more information. Good luck.
Resources from this session were provided by FranNet.
FranNet is a franchise consulting firm that helps entrepreneurs find the right franchise business for them. Their services include providing information, resources, and guidance to help clients make informed decisions about business ownership.